On the outskirts of Nashville, Tennessee, where the air always smelled faintly of cut grass and diesel from the nearby interstate, Daniel Brooks stood in the doorway of his own living room and wondered when exactly his home had become so quiet. It wasn't the peaceful kind of quiet, the Sunday morning after church type he loved. No. This quiet felt like something had been emptied out of the house and never returned. It was 10:43 p.m. The lamp by the sofa hummed faintly. A half-drunk glass of sweet tea sat on the coffee table, condensation clinging to it even after hours. And upstairs, behind the closed door of their bedroom, his wife Emily whispered in a voice too soft for him to understand, followed by the muffled buzz of her phone. She'd been whispering a lot lately. And keeping the phone on silent. And turning it face down. And showering before bed, something she never used to do on weeknights. Daniel rubbed the back of his neck, trying to shake off the unease crawling under his skin. He wasn't a paranoid man. He'd been married 9 years, loved his wife deeply, trusted her without a shadow of doubt, until about 2 months ago, when subtle things began to shift. She'd started spending more time at work. Then more time at the gym. Then more time meeting the girls, though Daniel couldn't remember the last time she'd invited anyone over. And the nights had become strange. Tonight was the strangest. He climbed the stairs quietly. The bedroom door wasn't fully shut, it was cracked just enough to let a sliver of warm light fall onto the hallway carpet. Her voice floated through the opening. "No, not tomorrow. I can't. He's home." Daniel froze. A beat of silence. Then her whisper turned low, warm in a way he hadn't heard in a long time. "I miss you too." The words tore through him like a blade. His heart pounded so loudly he wondered if she heard it. Something in his chest twisted, but he didn't push the door open. Didn't demand answers. Didn't shout. Didn't accuse. He stepped back down the hallway, the carpet swallowing his footsteps, his breath unsteady. Downstairs again, he sat on the couch, his hands trembling ever so slightly. Something was wrong. And this time, he couldn't pretend it wasn't. The quiet wasn't quiet. It was the sound of something breaking. The next morning, Nashville was a contradiction of sun and cold wind, bright January skies with winter biting at the edges. Daniel grabbed his jacket and keys, trying to shake off the heaviness from last night. Emily stood at the kitchen counter packing her lunch. She didn't look up. "Morning," she said, without her usual warmth. "Morning." His voice sounded stiff even to himself. She noticed. Her brow furrowed. "You okay? Didn't sleep great." "Oh." She shrugged. "You should try that melatonin again." This casual small talk, this strange lightness, only tightened the knot inside him. "Who were you talking to last night?" he asked suddenly. Her hand paused on the plastic container. "My sister," she said smoothly. "You were whispering. I didn't want to wake you." A lie. A clean, practiced lie. He felt it instantly. He watched her lift her phone and slide it into her purse, screen facing inward as always. "Aha." He forced himself to nod. She kept packing her bag without looking at him, but her shoulders were rigidly tight. Daniel studied her. The new hairstyle she'd gotten last month. The new perfume. The new lingerie he'd found in the dryer 2 weeks ago, with tags he'd never seen. None of it added up, not in a way he wanted it to. "Will you be home for dinner?" he asked. "Probably not," she said quickly. The hospital's short-staffed. Emily was a nurse. Hard job, long hours. But she'd never been this vague before. "I might have to cover for someone," she added, not looking at him. "Someone named what?" he asked quietly. This time she did look up, annoyed. "Daniel, really? I don't have time for this." He swallowed. Hard. "Right," he said. "Sure." She grabbed her purse, brushed past him, and left the house with a slam that echoed through the kitchen. Daniel stared at the door long after she'd gone. Something was definitely wrong. And now he needed the truth. Daniel worked as a home inspector, a job that required attention to detail. Cracks in foundations. Hidden leaks. Structural weaknesses. He was good at finding the things people wanted to hide. But he'd never expected he'd need those skills in his own marriage. All morning, he found himself replaying last night's whisper. "I miss you too. No sister talks like that. Not even close." Around lunchtime, while sitting in his truck behind a duplex in East Nashville, he made a decision he hated himself for. He texted her. "Can you send me a pic of the insurance card? Need it for something." He waited. A minute passed. Then 2. Then 5. Finally. "At work. Can't right now." She always kept the cards in her wallet. It would have taken 5 seconds. Daniel leaned forward, resting his forehead on the steering wheel. She was lying. Over and over. The cracks were widening. That weekend, Daniel met his best friend, Marcus, at a sports bar near downtown. The Titans were playing, but Daniel wasn't paying attention. His beer sat untouched. Marcus took one look at him and said, "You look like hell." "What's going on?" Daniel hesitated. He hadn't wanted to involve anyone else. But his voice cracked when he finally spoke. "I think Emily's cheating." Marcus didn't dismiss it. Didn't say Daniel was imagining things. Instead, he exhaled slowly, eyes serious. "Why do you think that?" Daniel told him everything, the whispers, the late nights, the perfume, the lies. Marcus nodded grimly. "Have you checked her location?" She turned it off. "Her work schedule. Says she's covering extra shifts. But her paycheck hasn't changed." Marcus's jaw clenched. "Man. I'm sorry." Daniel stared at the TV without seeing it. "I don't want this to be real." Marcus leaned forward. "Then find out. Don't guess. Don't torture yourself with maybes. Get the truth." Daniel looked down at his hands. He wanted the truth. He just didn't know if he could survive it. The truth arrived on a Wednesday night. Emily texted at 6:12 p.m. "Work is insane tonight. Probably home late. Love you. Love you." The words looked wrong on the screen. Daniel waited 10 minutes. Then 20. Then he grabbed his jacket and keys. He drove straight to St. Thomas Midtown Hospital, her workplace. He knew her schedule. He knew where nurses parked, where they entered, where they clocked in. He sat in the parking lot for half an hour watching nurses come and go. Emily never appeared. At 7:08 p.m., he texted. "Want me to bring you dinner?" She replied instantly. "No. Already ate. Don't worry. Super busy. Already ate. Super busy. Not at the hospital." Daniel's hands shook as he started the engine. He didn't follow his instincts often, but tonight he did. And his instincts screamed one thing. Go home. He parked 2 houses down from their place, turning off the lights, the truck hidden under shadows. And at 7:32 p.m., a car pulled into his driveway. A car he'd never seen before. A sleek silver Lexus. His stomach turned to ice. The driver stepped out first. Tall. Fit. Wearing a suit. Then Emily got out. Her hair was undone. She was laughing. Laughing in a way she hadn't around him in months. The man put his hand on the small of her back. She didn't push him away. They walked to the front door together, close, intimate, familiar. Daniel lowered himself in the driver's seat, breath ragged. There it was. Proof. Cold. Solid. Unmistakable. He didn't confront them. He didn't burst inside. He didn't rage. He just drove. He didn't remember where. He didn't remember the streets or the lights or the turns. His mind was a blur, his chest tight, his eyes burning. Everything he knew, everything he believed, everything he loved, was collapsing. Over the next 2 weeks, Daniel became a silent investigator of his own life. He learned the man's name. Dr. Adrian Hale. Surgeon. Wealthy. Charming. Divorced. Emily's colleagues confirmed he and Emily worked in adjacent departments. Daniel never confronted her. Not yet. He needed the full picture. He learned they met for late lunches twice a week. Stayed at a hotel near the airport once. And texted constantly. The messages came in at all hours. Emily guarded her phone like it was oxygen. At night, Daniel lay awake beside her, staring at the ceiling, listening to her breathe, hating every second of existing in this fake, rotting marriage. The betrayal was no longer a suspicion. It was a living, breathing thing in the house with them. One night, she slid into bed and lay stiffly beside him. "Are you okay?" she asked. Daniel stared at the shadows on the wall. "Are you happy?" he asked quietly. She froze. What kind of question is that?" "An important one." She swallowed. "Daniel, things have just been stressful." "Work is." He cut in. "I'm your husband. I know when you're lying." Her lips trembled for a moment, but she covered it quickly. "I'm not lying," she said sharply. He turned his head toward her. "Then look me in the eye and say it." But she didn't. She turned away instead. Daniel closed his eyes, the sting sharp and unforgiving. He felt something in him die that night. The breaking point came on a Sunday afternoon. Emily said she was going to yoga class. Daniel followed her car from a distance. She didn't go to a gym. Didn't go anywhere near one. She drove to a gated townhome complex in Bellevue. She pulled into the driveway of Unit 14B, Adrian Hale's home. And when Adrian opened the door, Emily stepped into his arms with the kind of ease that only came from routine. She kissed him. Deeply. Passionately. Unashamedly. Then they went inside. Daniel sat in his truck and gripped the steering wheel until his knuckles cracked. That was it. He finally broke. On Monday morning, Daniel didn't go to work. He went to a lawyer. A calm, well-spoken woman named Linda Whitmore. She listened as he explained everything, every suspicion, every lie, every moment of proof. When he finished, she nodded. "We'll file for divorce on grounds of adultery. With the evidence you have, it will be straightforward." He felt numb. He asked quietly, "Can I do it in person? Tell her myself?" Linda's expression softened. "If you want to confront her, that's your right. But be prepared, it might get emotional." He nodded slowly. Emotional didn't begin to cover it. The house was too quiet when Emily came home that evening. The winter sun was already setting, painting the living room gold. Daniel sat at the dining table, divorce papers neatly stacked in front of him. Emily walked in, surprised to see him home so early. "Hey," she said cautiously. "Everything okay?" Daniel looked at her for a long moment. "Where were you?" he asked. "Work." "Why?" "Try again." Her expression faltered. "Daniel, stop. I'm tired. I don't want to fight." "We're not fighting," he said softly. "Just talking." She set her purse down. "Okay, then talk." He slid his phone across the table. On screen. A photo he took yesterday. Her kissing Adrian at the door. Emily went pale. Her mouth opened, but no words came out. Daniel's voice was steady. How long? Tears filled her eyes. Daniel. I'm so sorry. How long? She sank into a chair across from him, trembling. 6 months, she whispered. He closed his eyes. The words hit like a hammer. 6 months. Half a year of lies. Why? His voice cracked. What did I do? She shook her head desperately. It wasn't because of you. Then what? I don't know, she burst out, tears spilling. I felt invisible. Unhappy. He made me feel alive again. Like I mattered. Daniel stared at her in disbelief. You mattered to me, he said quietly. She sobbed harder. I didn't mean for it to happen. It wasn't supposed to go this far. But it did, he said. And you didn't stop. She pressed her hands to her face, shoulders shaking. He slid the divorce papers toward her. I'm done, Emily. She looked up, stricken. Daniel, please, can we try therapy? Can we fix this? No, he said softly. You broke something I can't put back together. Emily reached for his hand. I'm sorry. Please. He pulled away. She collapsed into sobs. But Daniel felt nothing now. Just emptiness. The marriage was over. Emily moved out 2 days later. She went to stay with her sister. Daniel boxed up her clothes, her books, her photos, everything, and left the boxes by the door for her to pick up. The house felt hollow, but clearer somehow. Neighbors whispered. Friends texted. His mother cried over the phone. Marcus brought over beer and sat with him in silence for hours. But Daniel didn't break down. He didn't scream. Didn't rage. He'd done all his breaking already. Now he was rebuilding. Slowly. Quietly. One piece at a time. 2 weeks after she moved out, Emily came back, unexpected, uninvited. Daniel opened the door cautiously. She looked terrible. Red eyes. Sleepless. Thin. Daniel, she whispered. I need to tell you something. He crossed his arms. What? Adrian ended things. Daniel's jaw tightened. He told me he never wanted anything serious, she said, voice breaking. He said he was just having fun. He's seeing someone else. He said I ruined my life for nothing. Her voice cracked on the last word. Daniel felt a bitter anger, not at himself, not even at her anymore, but at the man who had used her and left her drowning. But he didn't comfort her. Not anymore. I'm sorry, he said quietly. But this isn't my burden. Emily broke down on the porch, sobbing uncontrollably. And Daniel realized, in that moment, that the last piece of whatever tie remained between them finally snapped. She whispered, I lost everything. Daniel looked at her, his voice steady and cold. No, he said. You threw everything away. She stared at him, shattered. Then she turned and walked down the steps into the cold Nashville night. Daniel closed the door behind her. And didn't look back. Divorce finalized in early spring. Daniel kept the house. Emily moved to a small apartment across town. They stopped texting. Stopped calling. Stopped existing in each other's world. And slowly, painfully, Daniel began to breathe again. He learned to make dinner for one. He learned to sleep without someone beside him. He learned to live without the woman he once thought he'd grow old with. Nashville streets bloomed with dogwoods and fresh green leaves. The air warmed. The night softened. Daniel walked through quiet neighborhoods, past porches with rocking chairs and the smell of barbecue drifting from backyards, and he felt something he hadn't felt in months. Peace. Real peace. Not the quiet that hides secrets. The quiet that comes after a storm. On a late April evening, Daniel sat on the back porch with a cup of coffee, watching fireflies flicker across the yard. The cicadas hummed softly in the distance. It wasn't the life he planned. Not the marriage he built. Not the ending he wanted. But it was honest. And that mattered more than anything. He took a deep breath and let it out slowly, feeling the weight of months finally lift. The quiet around him wasn't broken anymore. It was healing. And for the first time in a long, long while, Daniel believed he would be okay.